You've been spending, from what I understand, the last several days, if not weeks, on the telephones with many of the boldest-faced named CEOs in America, talking about this crisis that seems to be engulfing the country. What are you hearing?
I'm hearing a great fear and revulsion. It was nice to hear David Rubenstein say that he has confidence, and just now in that clip that you showed in the nation's national security apparatus. He would be an outlier, even though he was condemning of President Trump as well in that clip, is that there's widespread fear that the greatest threat to national security right now is our own commander in chief. And these CEOs are all worried about putting in the guardrails. And they were felt very justified in that belief by the catalytic action of former Vice President Dick Cheney getting all former living defense secretaries, all 10 of them, to say that this is a time of great danger and warning the Pentagon to not get drawn into any of the transition hijinks of this outbound president. And so CEOs are really worried. They even before this insurrection on the Capitol, the morning before, we had several dozen CEOs call me and ask, could we arrange one of our informal early morning Zoom calls? I think they come to me instead of one of the major trade associations because they figure I've got nothing to lose if it doesn't work. And
but Jeff,
8% of them. Yes, go ahead.
Isn't there an element which is that all of this is a little too late? That all of the statements that we've heard over the years, whether it be from the BRT or elsewhere, are a little too ambiguous. That led us to this moment. A lot of people may want to speak out now, and by the way, many of them are speaking out to some degree, but not really speaking out. What do you think? You study leadership. What do you think the role of a leader should be, a business leader in this case?
It's an interesting point that you make. Candidly, just between us, Andrew, is when we saw Ken Fraser of Merck take a very courageous stand post the Charlottesville equivocation of the Nazis with the peaceful demonstrators by the president. And there was some staccato response that you and I were tracking. And then a lot of people joined him. Of course, Bob Iger of Disney, but the bedrock of America eventually it came fairly soon. AT&T and Walmart and others, but there are a lot who didn't. And we had the press releases of the flags falling all over each other to get to us by the Wednesday of that week before the close of the market, because the dam was breaking and everybody wanted to be on the right side of history, and they were jumping quickly. We're seeing that now too. In fact, President William Taft had once said, people say all the rats are jumping off the sinking ship, but I'm not. Didn't realize what he was saying there. And what we're seeing right now is a lot of people want to be on the right side of history. These statements coming out, and you and I, and probably most everybody has been flooded by these protestations against violence. Well, what CEO is going to say they're pro-violence other than maybe WWE and the National Hockey League? Of course, they're going to make those statements, but I really support and endorse the National Association of Manufacturers' very clear statement calling for either the invocation of the 25th Amendment, impeachment, or the president's resignation. And today's Wall Street Journal is quite striking, too, asking or demanding that the president resign, be best for everybody. That's staggering. The Wall Street Journal, of course, is no bastion of campus progressive radicalism. And similarly, as you think of the National Association of Manufacturers, the Business Roundtable formed as a centrist reaction against the very historically right-leaning National Association of Manufacturers 50 years ago. And it's of all organizations that they should be the one to come out like this. Jay Timmons, I'm really startled, impressed by those statements. But there's no ambiguity. 100% of the CEOs at our summit, at our informal caucus, had said that they will no longer fund these sedition-supporting GOP congressmen, which is half of the GOP House and 25% of the GOP Senate. That's astounding. And these are people who have followed through in the past on whether or not it had to do with assault weapons in stores or having to do with immigration issues over the summer in challenging administration, or the auto industry on EPA rollbacks, or even the energy issues in industry EPA rollbacks. They have, in fact, challenged things that you would have thought were not in their self-interest because these business leaders have risen to the occasion as corporate statespersons.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.